Children, we had done in the last class, we had completed, children, about that is the organized and the unorganized sector, and children, how many people are affected or vulnerable either in the rural areas or in the urban areas. How the children are going to be affected, children. Sorry, how the people were affected because they were extremely very poor and vulnerable. Now those children, those people carrying load on their head, those people collecting kachra, that is the rag pickers. Now we cannot say that they have a very steady income or they have a very good job, children. Neither do they have a steady income, neither do they have a very good job. And as a result of it, children, what happens is, because they do not have a steady job, they do not have any source of income, children, what happens is, these people, they live below the poverty line. Now we are going to divide, activities on the basis of ownership. Now there are two types of ownership that we study out here. One is private and one is public. Of course, children, there are joint sectors also, cooperative sectors, but in economics, there are only two sectors, private and public. Now, private sectors, they are the sectors owned by a private individual. They are owned by a private individual, children. Okay, and the only aim is profit. If they are not earning the required profit, they are going to stop their business. But if it is a government organization, then it is owned by the government, public organization owned by the government. And when it is owned by the government, they are not interested in profit making. What they are interested is, they are interested more in, children, how they are going to get the development of the economy, how the industries are going to open up, and how the economy is going to flourish. Now, kindly take down what I am dictating now. Put the heading, sectors in terms of ownership. Sectors in terms of ownership. The first heading you put as public sector. Public sector. First point, government owns most of the assets. Government owns most of the assets. Second point, government also provides all the services. Government also provides all the services. The third point is, purpose is not only to earn profit. Purpose is not only to earn profit. Next point, Example, railways, post office, railways, post office, government undertakings, etc. Government undertakings, etc. Next heading, children. Private sector. Private sector. First point, ownership in the hands of private individuals. Ownership in the hands of private individuals. Second point, delivery of services. Delivery of services under private industries. Under private industries. Third point, aim is to earn profit. Aim is to earn profit. Next point, reliance, Tata, Reliance, Tata, Asian Paints, Asian Paints, Infosys, etc. Now, children, let me explain one thing to you. Better hear very carefully. Yeah, children, please pay attention. Anag, you're gone off again. Mansi Yadav off. Aditya Singh off. I'm deleting all of you whose videos are switched off. Now, children, last year in the board exam, in fact, even the year previous, in the board exam, there was a question, okay, give an account of the private sectors. And private sectors ke andar, many of them wrote unorganized sector. Now, there is a difference. Unorganized sector is the baiji of your house. Unorganized sector is the thela wala who goes from gully to gully selling sabjis, children. Unorganized sector is that small puncture repair dukaan. That is the unorganized sector. Private sector is like Reliance, Tata's, Sundaram Fasteners, all the big companies that you have, children, all that are control, they are in the private sector. Now, unorganized sector, there is no pension, there is no medical leave, there are no facilities by the government. But in the private sector, all the facilities are given by the government, children. All the facilities are given by the government. Now, when the facilities are given by the government, children, then how can we call it an unorganized sector? So, the answer you are giving to the question, please read the question very carefully. What are they asking? Are they asking about the unorganized sector, or are they asking about the private sectors? Now, those who wrote the answer of the unorganized sector, obviously the answer was wrong. The answer was wrong. So you have to be careful when you are reading your question papers, children. I'm not talking about the school exams. I'm talking ultimately about your board exams, children. Your board exam is the most important thing. I may not be there at that time to give you any guidance. So I am giving you all the guidance that you require now, children. Please read your question paper very, very carefully, children. And see that you follow the question that it asks. Hindi also the question will be written. So if you don't understand the question in English, make sure you read the question in Hindi. So don't get confused between private sector and the unorganized sector. Can you compare your Ghar Ki Bai to Reliance company, children? To the CEO of the Reliance company? He is also a private enterprise. But your Bai is not a private enterprise. She is not an organized private enterprise. So please remember what you have to answer. Another thing is, see children, private companies are very important, and especially in today's time, the multinational companies are very important. But we got to remember one thing, that children, in a modern age, having public sector is very important. Now, why is the public sector important? Firstly, children, basic facilities like electricity, water, health and sanitation, having those people come and sweep the roads and clean the drains, every time. These are the facilities that are required for the basic things. If you don't have infrastructure, you don't have roads, you don't have electricity connections, you don't have good water supply, which industry can flourish? And these basic things, they children are only in the control or only provided by the government, that is the public sector. Secondly, what you see is children, when we have to collect money like the water bills, the electricity bills, now see, water, electricity is being given out to private people in some places. Look at the smart meters they have put, the exorbitant rates of electricity that we are paying. So what happens is children, whenever we are moving, to privatization, they are going to charge a very high rate of interest, or they are going to charge very high cost. And that is why we also need the government organizations. Third thing is children, that is, many companies like the private companies, they require certain facilities, children, and these facilities can only be provided by the government. Nobody can provide railways. Can I have my own railway line? Can I have my own line, children, where I can go and have my own airport and I have my own seaport? No. If I need export and import, if I need goods to be sent from one part of the country north to the south of the country, this infrastructure has to be provided by the public sector. Now, who is going to take care of the poor and the neglected sections of society? Children, you remember, everybody is interested in opening private schools and big schools. Who is interested in going to the village, especially during this pandemic time, and teach the villagers out there? Who is interested in opening hospitals in the village? Every doctor wants open his own hospital and earn crores of rupees, but who is interested in going down to the poor children? So if we don't have government organizations, how are the poor of the country going to be taken care of? That is why it is very important that we have, public sectors. Now, please take down the question. And this is very important from the board point of view, children. Modern day governments, this is the question. Modern day governments need to provide many facilities. Modern day governments need to provide many facilities. What are these facilities? What are these facilities? And why does the government spend on such facilities? And why does the government spend on such facilities? Now, first point. Several things needed by the society. What happened, beta? What happened? Shrijan Bhardwaj. Shrijan Bhardwaj. Several things needed by society require huge amounts of money, which is beyond the capacity of any private sector. Children, like for example, the construction of a dam in order to provide hydroelectricity. Now, how is that going to be done, children? You cannot have a private company buying up the whole river, then making a dam and then laying down the electricity lines and all. So these kind of activities are only done by the public sector. Number 2, collecting money from thousands of people. Collecting money from thousands of people who use these facilities, is not easy. Moreover, private companies charge very high rates very high rates for their use. For their use. Example, providing irrigation, electricity, construction of roads, railways, etc. Construction of roads, railways, etc. Next point. Many facilities needed by private companies. Many facilities needed by private companies to continue their production, has to be provided by the government. Has to be provided. Has to be provided by the government. Fourth point. Government also needs to pay attention to aspects of human development such as safe drinking water, food, housing, etc. Food, housing, etc. And the last point is, it is the duty of the government to take care of the poor, and the most neglected parts the most neglected parts of the country. Now, this chapter here is over. This last part is a very important question from the board point of view. Now we have finished with the notes of sectors of Indian economy. I have also explained it again to you children, and it's time that you start studying seriously. Now in the next class, I shall give you the notes of the chapter development.